and this is the Mebo Show. Twice a month, I sit down with experts on two areas that I'm most passionate about: the music industry and health and wellness in BIPOC communities. Each episode, we have honest conversations with some of the biggest names in hip hop about their personal wellness journeys. I'm so happy to have my friends at Johnson & Johnson to share their expertise. This show is full, it's raw, it's real, and it has the power to transform health and change the world.
Hello and welcome everyone. I'm Tyra Bell, Vice President of Global Brand Protection at Johnson & Johnson and also a proud member of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated. I'm excited to moderate this important conversation on heart health presented by our Johnson & Johnson employees of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated and Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated. Adopting and sustaining healthy eating habits is essential for our overall well-being. In this discussion, we will explore key factors that influence our health through the food choices we make. By focusing on these factors, you can greatly enhance and preserve your health in the long run. We invite you to place questions in the chat during the discussion, and our team members will continuously monitor and feed the information to me as the moderator. Not all questions will be answered, but we will certainly try to get to your questions. There will be 4 poll questions throughout the webinar so that we can engage with the audience as well. Please respond when prompted. So let's dive in and meet the incredible panel of healthcare leaders and advocates who will help educate us tonight. Asking each panelist, as I introduce you one by one, to share your title, an area of expertise and work that you do to improve health for our community. First up, I'd like to introduce Jantel R. Horton. Welcome, Jantel.
Hi, my name is Jantel Horton, member of the Chicago Alumni Chapter. I am a nationally certified school psychologist. I am a member of the National Programming and Development Committee, Physical and Mental Health. I am very passionate about fitness and wellness and have had the opportunity to be Delta Sigma Theta's Weight Watchers liaison in 2022. So health and wellness is a passion of mine, and I am so honored to be a part of this panel this evening.
Welcome, Jantel. Thank you. Next up, I'd like to welcome Stephanie R. English, MPH, MSM, MHA. Welcome, Stephanie.
For a Medicare Advantage organization. I've led multiple healthcare departments and organizations. However, my work as an epidemiologist and biostatistician has provided experience as a clinical research administrator to identify disease causes and those at risk of contracting them. I specifically worked within the TrialNet Diabetes program for the natural history study. Additionally, as a hobby, I am a certified personal trainer and nutritionist and have competed in bodybuilding competitions. And I'm a proud member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated.
Thank you so much, Stephanie, and thank you for joining us. Next up, we have Dr. Randy Hines II. Randy?
Hello. I'm Dr. Randy Hines II. I'm from Port Arthur, Texas. Attended Prairie View A&M University for undergrad. Shout out to all my HBCUs. I went to University of Louisville for medical school, and I'm a now practicing family medicine physician out in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm also part of the Stone Mountain alumni chapter of Kappa Alpha Psi. And the thing that I like to do is educate people upon their health. So I started a medical podcast called On Call with Dr. Randy, where I give out medical information.
Welcome, Dr. Hines. And next up, we have Dr. Hernando Carter. Dr. Carter, thanks for joining us.
Hello, good evening. My name is Dr. Hernando Carter. I'm a spring 2002 initiated Birmingham Alumni Chapter Currently, I have the pleasure of serving as the National Health and Wellness co-chairman, along with Brother Antonio Martez. Also, I'm the Senior Province Vice Polmark for the Southern Province. In my day job, I am a board-certified internal medicine physician, practicing value-based primary care in Birmingham, also serving as the Market Medical Director of Alabama. And in my passion project is mentoring through my 501c3 Prescription for Better Living, where we give scholarships to young high school graduates of color who are going into health careers, and the Prescription for Better Living podcast, where we discuss all things health and wellness for our community.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dr. Carter. And I'm looking forward to this exciting panel. I know this is an area we can all stand to learn so that we can have flourishing lives. What I'd like to do first is we're going to prompt our first audience engaging question. All right. What do you believe is the biggest barrier to healthy eating in minority communities? If you can just put your answers in the chat. Okay, good. I'm seeing access to quality foods. Any other thoughts? Awesome. Yes, money. I also see economic constraints. So the answer is A, lack of access to fresh foods. Many minority communities experience food deserts, where fresh fruits and vegetables are scarce or non-existent. This lack of access makes it difficult for individuals to choose healthy options, leading to reliance on processed and unhealthy foods. So what I'd like to do is now dive into the questions for our panelists. The first question is going to be for Dr. Hines. What are some common barriers that minority communities face when trying to access healthy food, and how can these be addressed?
So, like you mentioned earlier, or just now, food deserts, those are a major factor in people not having access to healthy food. I know personally, I've lived in food deserts and in places where I have good access to food. So, one of the major things that I noticed when I was living in a food desert is just the quality of the fruits and vegetables that were located in those areas. It wouldn't be unripened fruit or just poor fruit and not enough options of healthy fruit or vegetables as well. Another thing is also the lack of options in regards to grocery stores. There may be one grocery store that's located for a 10 to 20-mile area, and that's just not enough for the number of people who are in that area to have good access to food overall. Also, sometimes people don't know what is good food and what is necessarily bad food and how much that you should be eating on a regular basis. So we're lacking educational knowledge into some of those things. So some of the solutions that can be used or done to help people out can be, one thing is improving transportation in some of these areas so people can have better access to get to other areas where they can get good quality food. Another thing is also having good access in regards to resources that they can help them out. The American Association of Family Medicine Physicians has a great link website that can help people find different food resources in their area. This link is navigator.aafp.org. Once again, that's navigator.aafp.org. If you just go to that website and you put in your zip code, that will open up a whole bunch of different resources that will give you information on free places you can get food, money resources, job opportunities, transportation, different ways you can have access to get healthy food options.
Very good. Thank you. And I think access is so important, because without that, then we won't have the ability to actually drive the healthy eating habits. So thanks for those resources, Dr. Hines. Next up, I'm going to ask Stephanie a question. How can cultural dietary practices be integrated into a healthy eating framework without compromising nutritional quality?
Thank you. Sounds hard, but not. Where there's a will, there's a way. So you can do so by blending nutritional science and cultural sensitivity. Doing so creates somewhat of a framework that promotes health while honoring our unique traditions within our communities. As an example, change cooking methods, right? If there's a traditional way for prepping food, change it to steaming, fermenting, grilling. Whatever you need to do to enhance nutritional value. Other options include modification of recipes for healthier substitutes. I'd say the biggest or largest example could be olive oil instead of lard, or whole grains versus refined grains. Reduce added sugars in sauces or desserts, as well as portion control, right? You can adjust portion sizes for balance also without compromising enjoyment of a dish. As an example, if we have, stubborn friends and relatives, instead of antagonizing, offer a suggestion to say, hey, you can have the smaller portion of fried food, but alongside a larger portion of a fruit or vegetable, or even highlight traditional herbs and spices for flavor enhancers versus salt or processed seasonings. Also understanding, how we can be as people, right? Let's talk about encouraging moderation and balance. I would say incorporate all of your food. Advocate for the inclusion of those specific indulgences. So hear me out. Fried chicken, candy yams, sweet potato pie. In moderation, though, with an overall balanced diet. Emphasize fruit, emphasize vegetables, emphasize grilling and baking of protein, with other meals. Overall, I would say food pretty much is deeply tied to culture, identity, and emotions. We should avoid stigmatizing traditional foods, right? Instead, frame discussions around balance and nutrition as best as possible, especially when dealing with those that are unwilling to make immediate, impactful changes.
Right.
It's consistency wins the race.
Yeah, it's definitely a process, right? And within that process, I think one of the things that we try to manage in our household is portion control, because that can get you in trouble. So we say you can eat almost anything, almost, right? But you want to be healthy in the process, and definitely manage portions. Thank you so much. Next up, I'm going to ask Jantel a question. In what ways do socioeconomic factors influence food choices and overall health in minority populations?
Great question. So socioeconomic factors plays a huge role in one's overall health. And research has shown that individuals with higher socioeconomic statuses are healthier when compared to individuals with lower economic statuses. People with higher socioeconomic statuses are more likely to have healthier food habits, whereas people with lower socioeconomic statuses have dietary profiles that are less consistent with nutritional recommendations or dietary guidelines, contributing to their poorer health status. So these factors can contribute to, like you stated earlier during the discussion, educational levels, economic resources, food diversity or lack thereof in neighborhoods. And we've all heard of food deserts, areas in which residents are hard pressed to find affordable, healthy foods, in which is part of the landscape of poorer urban neighborhoods across the United States. So if you're in an area where there are fewer supermarkets or farmer markets, it's easier to find a Slurpee than a green smoothie. It's cheaper to get the $5 big box from Popeyes than to grab a dinner at a salad bar. So Social inequity and diet quality reflected by healthy dietary behaviors are areas of public health concern. And that's why discussions like today are imperative in educating people about how food choices affect our overall well being and ultimately life expectancy.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm going to, along those same lines, Dr. Carter, I'm going to ask a question. You know, we talked about all the different drivers, but how can we improve awareness and education about healthy eating practices within our minority communities?
Yeah, thank you for the question. I think part of it has to do with what we're doing here on today, right? So, using all of the platforms that we have to get the word out to our community. But then also, we have to, I think, employ what we would call the trusted messenger approach. Y'all know the Divine Nine was very, very instrumental in helping get actual factual information out about vaccinations. And so, we have to do the same thing as it relates to nutrition, food choices, et cetera. I think we have to go to where the people are, partner with churches and pastors and community organizations, those people with boots on the ground, and start to educate our people about, healthier options and healthier choices.
Good. Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, we are going to go back to our audience poll. I have a couple of questions to engage. All right, the first one, question number 2. How often do you think your diet impacts your mental health? And if you all can respond. Very often, sometimes, rarely, or not at all. All right, I'm seeing a couple of responses. Very often, very often. Yes, thank you. I think we can all agree. Yes, A, very often. And you can just hear from some of the examples that were shared earlier. You can only imagine the connection, right? Individuals who believe that diet significantly impacts mental health understand the critical role nutrition plays in cognitive function, mood regulation, and overall well being. Research shows that certain nutrients can affect neurotransmitter synthesis and function, highlighting the importance of a balanced diet in maintaining mental health. So, yes, there is definitely a direct correlation. And now, if we could prompt question number 3. All right. Which mental health benefit do you believe is most influenced by healthy eating? Reduced anxiety, improved mood, better focus on concentration, or enhanced energy levels? Thoughts? All right. Sorry, I'm trying to catch up. All of the above. I'm seeing C, better focus and concentration. All of them, mood. And almost all of the above. I would agree, but there is a predominant, and it's improved mood is one area that we can highlight. So improved mood is common and significant benefit associated with healthy eating. Diets rich in whole foods, including healthy fats, fruits, and vegetables, can decrease the risk of depression and anxiety. The options highlights the direct link between nutrient dense foods and emotional resilience, fostering discussions about specific dietary changes that can enhance mood. So now we're going to start to talk about the connectivity with healthy eating and our mental state. So I'd like to come back to Dr. Carter for a second. And if you can explain the relationship between nutrition and mental health, and how does diet and nutrition affect emotional well-being and mental health, particularly within the minority communities?
Sure thing. So it's November, and in a couple of weeks, it'll be Thanksgiving. And so I want to kind of prompt everybody to remember that term we call the itis, right? And it's not very politically correct, but typically what happens with the itis after Thanksgiving is you have eaten a lot of calorie dense foods that are high in fats that may have a high carbohydrate content, so a lot of sugars. And what happens is that you start to feel heavy and sluggish and tired and drained. And the itis kicks in when you take that nap and they get the embarrassing photo of you that they post on Facebook with your mouth open. But with that being said, when you consume a diet that is high in carbohydrates, you are always on this kind of roller coaster of ups and downs, right? And so energy level, you get a surge in energy, but then all of a sudden you are very drained and tired. Fogginess of thinking, just again feeling fatigued throughout the day and just not as light. Also caffeine, if you consume a lot of caffeine, that can affect just your overall physical health, but especially your mental health, can exacerbate anxiety, that feeling of nervousness, etc. And then again, you get the crash from the caffeine. So we know that eating foods that are higher in vitamins and our minerals, our B vitamins, vitamin C, vitamin A, vitamin B, all help us with our focus and concentration. But then also when you don't eat those predominantly heavy carbohydrate diets where most of your diet is going to be with white stuff, is how I explain carbohydrates to my patients. So, and it's all the good stuff, the potatoes, the sugars, the sweets and desserts, the rice, the pasta. Those are the things that are high in carbohydrates that can really affect your energy levels through the day, that can affect your ability to focus and concentrate and stay alert. And so can certainly have an adverse impact on your mood and your mental health as you progress to the day. Also, if you don't feel as alert and you don't feel as refreshed and spry, you can't be as productive. And lack of productivity can exacerbate anxiety or mood swings. So all of these things are connected. And I don't even go and get into heavy alcohol consumption because I don't want to make people mad at me.
Right. Well, I was just about to say, and everything you just thought about as you were talking, it made me think about emotional eating as well. And a lot of the things that you called out, from the sugars to the high in carbohydrates, are often, I think, why we see emotional eating tied to our well-being and our mental state also. All right. Thank you so much for that. I'm going to switch gears to oops. I realized I had the wrong person identified. All right, we're going to go to Jantel. Are there specific exercises or routines that help with managing anxiety and depression?
Yes, there is a wide range of physical activities that can help in managing anxiety and depression. Cardio, so running, basketball, and other activities that increase your heart rate. Strength training, so lifting weights. Yoga, in which is a top exercise for reducing depression. Walking, even short walks can improve your mood. Dancing, you can try a Zumba class, line dancing class, or even dance to your favorite music at home. But remember, the best exercise is one that you enjoy and that you can do consistently. You can try to add small amounts of physical activity throughout your day, like taking the stairs or parking further away from work. And we should all aim for 20 to 30 minutes of exercise 3 times a week. So all of those things help with reducing anxiety and depression. And especially for like right now where we are experiencing darkness earlier,
Yeah.
it's very important to make sure that we're incorporating these type of fitness routines in our daily lives so that we won't be affected by the darkness, and which
Yeah.
can cause depression.
Yeah. I know you can feel the energy shift right after daylight saving time, so that it is important. I think to your point, routine is important as well. And that's something we can all learn from. I know personally that I can. Okay, I'm going to ask Stephanie, what are your strategies for staying motivated, especially when progress is slow? How can someone maintain a positive body image and avoid comparison to others in their fitness journey?
Okay, get ready for this. So my strategies. I tend to focus on habits that I can control rather than just results. Um, those daily habits. I have weightlifting splits literally daily. I also daily meal prep. It helps me to feel a sense of accomplishment by achieving smaller and actionable goals that helps me move or work towards momentum and confidence. I also don't focus on the number on the scale. I celebrate increases in strength, stamina, sleep quality, and energy levels for specific reasons, right? My day to day looks different from day to day. Um, I also remind myself of my deeper reasons for my fitness journey. They include mental clarity, first and foremost, improved health and longevity. I will also start like heavy prepping for another bodybuilding competition next spring. So next week starts a whole different focus for me. So that definitely keeps me motivated. And I also frequently ask my friends to be an accountability partner with me. They may or may not be where I am from a nutrition or health and wellness standpoint, but it doesn't matter. I don't, we don't throw that in each other's face. We keep each other motivated and, to focus on momentum. And your question regarding maintaining a positive body image. So you can do that by, avoiding comparisons and practicing gratitude for literally your body. Focus on what your body can do rather than its appearance. Keep a journal of your list of physical achievements or functions to reinforce it. You can curate your environment. And again, we'll tie back to social media and social media beauty standards, right? If you have to be on social media, follow a body positive influencer if you must. Also recognize that fitness is a lifelong journey and not a destination. That will help eliminate the mindset of seeking immediate results. Positive self-talk, comparing yourself only to your past self rather than others, right? Acknowledge how far you've come in your journey and wear clothes that allow you to feel confident. Because literally you're running your own race. And lastly, practice mindfulness and self-compassion. Engaging in prayer, meditation, and journaling to connect with your feelings without judgment is very important. It helps to build resilience and can promote emotional balance.
Awesome. I love that. And I think that self-confidence goes a long way. And then you look at, the connections of everything that we're talking about, the healthy eating to doing the right exercises and having the right mindset. It all ties together for healthy living. I do have a question I want to throw out there. And it is to Dr. Hines. How do family dynamics and social support systems influence dietary habits in minority communities?
Those are very important. A lot of the things that we learn in regards to how we eat and the type of foods that we eat are based upon our family dynamics and how we were brought up and raised. We don't come out the womb knowing how to eat. People feed us and give us things, and by the time we kind of realize certain things in regards to how we eat, those roots have kind of been dug in into some of the ways that we eat consistently on a daily basis. One of the funny stories that I like to tell my patients is that in high school, some of the teachers used to sell us food in class. It'll be unhealthy food. And I didn't realize that until I was an adult that my teacher shouldn't be selling me sweet potato slices of pie in
Mhm.
class. But it wasn't until being an adult that like, okay, that just had an epiphany moment. But as a teenager, you just think certain things are the normal. So the way that we kind of learn things are mimicked based upon family members and family dynamics. So when patients come to see me and I ask them about their eating habits, um, I also tell them that your children will most likely mimic everything that you're doing. So if they see you eating larger portion sizes, always eating certain fried foods, or getting a lot of fast food, they will think that's of the norm for a long time period until they get older and have their own epiphany moment. Then you also got to delve into why people eat certain ways as well, because people may not have a lifestyle that affords them to eat healthy food. I have truck drivers that come to see me and I ask them what they eat, and they say, well, I got to eat fast food on a regular basis because that's all I can get on the road.
Mhm.
Or I have people that come to see me that's all they can afford is cheap food. And so it leads into a conversation of, are there some days that you're hungry? And sometimes they've told me yes. And so that leads to other types of conversations and me having to give them food that I have in my office to make sure that they don't leave hungry, and giving them some type of resources where they can go into getting food. So there's a whole bunch of different dynamics that play into how we eat and why we eat as
Yeah.
individuals.
Good. And in that, along those same lines, what role do healthcare providers play in promoting healthy eating habits among their patients in minority communities?
So we play one of the most important roles in people getting their health together, especially people like me who are in primary care. If you don't have a primary care physician, you need to get one. You should see your primary care physician at least once a year if you don't have some kind of chronic issue. If you do have a chronic issue, you need to see your primary care physician at least a couple of times a year. You should have either a family medicine physician or some kind of internal medicine physician who practices primary care. It's just my opinion, but I don't think that you should have your gynecologist be your primary care because most of them don't want to. And I have a lot of women that come to see me who say, my gynecologist said I need to get a primary care physician because we look at things different than how they look at things. And so we would order different labs and have different conversation that certain other specialists may not have. Also, we give out educational material and help kind of correct some of those bad habits that are kind of like bad roots, and having those counseling sessions and giving you different resources. Like, hey, do you want to go see a nutritionist? Or like my health system, we have a whole weight loss program that some people may not know that sets them up with a weight loss physician, a nutritionist, an exercise specialist. These are all kind of different conversations that we would have as a primary care physician. And just being, like Stephanie mentioned, an accountability partner. Sometimes I'll bring people back in just to have conversation on how are you eating, diet and exercise, and how are your eating habits, and trying not to be judgmental, but
Mhm.
having conversations and trying to reverse some of that bad knowledge that they have of certain things, and let them know how some of the bad things they may do may affect their health later on. Yes, I know that healthy food may cost more, but in the end, it's benefiting you long term, where you may not have to be on certain medications, or I can potentially reduce some of your meds or take them away if you just eat better and exercise consistently.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for that. You know, as I listen to all of you talk about the different things we can do to really drive that right balance, the one thing that I find is important when we are on this health journey is to have an accountability partner, and you know, someone that can help keep you honest. And like you said, Dr. Hines, and I think Stephanie said earlier, not to be judgmental, but that can help hold you accountable. So I would encourage the audience that when you start on that journey, or if you're already on that journey, to help create habits. You know, Chantel talked about some of the things we could do as far as activities and exercise. I find that when you do that amongst a group, it can help make it a habit or become a habit, so you're not by yourself trying to drive and be self-motivated at times as well. So I just wanted to throw that in there. This last question I'm going to ask is really for all of you, but I'm going to start with Stephanie. And what successful community programs or initiatives have you seen that effectively promote healthy eating and nutrition education in minority communities? I'd love for us to leave our listeners today with some resources and insights to where they might be able to get engaged as well.
Oh, actually, I guess in the tenure of my career, there have been a few that I've participated in. I know of four specifically. Detroit has the Keep Growing Detroit program that supports urban farming. It provides seeds, tools, education to residents. It engages communities in growing their own food while teaching about nutrition and sustainable practices. Why it works? It's a hands-on engagement and access to fresh produce directly to combat food deserts. It kind of piggybacking on what Dr. Hines was talking about earlier. Also in California, they have a Latino Health Access program that offers cooking classes and nutrition workshops that incorporate traditional foods and healthy preparation techniques. So they celebrate their cultural identity, which helps reduce resistance to dietary changes. It also promotes healthier habits within their familial context. The American Cancer Society also has Body and Soul program. So it works in combination with African American churches. It provides health education and promotes fruit and vegetable consumptions. Why this is particularly important is because churches are trusted institutions within our community, right? So using them as conduits helps ensure the program resonates within the community. And lastly, my home sweet home, Chicago, Fresh Moves Mobile Market that uses repurposed buses to bring fresh produce into underserved areas. So this tackles transportation barriers, right? Our access. So it increases access to affordable, healthy foods. And that's just to name a few.
Awesome. Thank you. And as our speakers are answering this question, I just want to remind attendees that if you have other questions, we're going to go to our Q&A next. So if you could please put your questions in the panel, and my team will help facilitate those as soon as we're done. So Dr. Carter, Jantel.
Sure. So also the CDC, Centers for Disease Control, has an obesity program that is targeting youth age 7 to 13, and they support other local community partners in those initiatives. Kappa Alpha Psi ourselves are embarking on a nutrition lifestyle modification program as a part of our Are You OK initiative, where we are going to be encouraging, healthy lifestyle modifications by, providing nutrition information, trying to help individuals learn what are the better food choices, and then give people some practical information on how they can exercise. I think I've seen it in the comments here, but one of the quotes that I used to always say is no excuses, let's move, y'all. Meaning that, the first thing that you do and the most important thing that you can do is just get up and move. And then really, what does that look like? People often say, well, I have bad knees, I have a bad back, I have these problems, and so I can't exercise. And so providing people with resources to let them know, hey, you can do chair exercises, you can do chair yoga, and you can have these guided by, just going on YouTube and watching, really free videos on YouTube that can guide you through a 15-20 minute chair exercise or chair yoga kind of workout. So providing practical information for members of our community.
I like that. Because I know a lot of times I say, I want to lift weights, I want to do strengthening. I have no idea where to start or what to do. And you forget about social media, and there's always something out there that really can help guide you.
Or now you know me.
Yes. I'm going to take you up on that, Stephanie. Awesome. All right. And I just wanted to give, I don't know if Dr. Hines or Jontel had any examples or resources that you guys wanted to share before we open it up to Q&A.
I just have one to share, and that is food depositories. I know in Chicago, there is the Chicago Food Depository. At one point, I volunteered with them, and they hand out fresh fruits, vegetables, lean meats to families that can last for a week, depending on your family size. And so I really do recommend those on this call who may know families that may not have accessibility to supermarkets where they can buy healthy foods, to find their nearest food depository in their neighborhood so that they have access to foods that are healthy for them and their families. Also, I would recommend checking out with your health insurer. So whether if you have Medicare or Medicaid, there are programs that offer for you to pay a reduced rate to be able to access a gym. So if you have Medicaid, you could possibly access a Planet Fitness for $10, $5, depending on your coverage. So just calling your medical providers and asking them what resources they have available so that not only are you eating healthy, but you're also exercising, which works hand in hand.
Yeah. Love that.
I'd also like to, one more came to mind. A good community-based resource is an organization called Unwrap You. It's led by Coach Melody, and we've partnered with her on occasions, and she focuses specifically on obesity and travels all around the country to various cities and states promoting activity, promoting healthy food choices to children, showing them how to journal as it relates to their food diet so that they can really track what they're consuming. So Unwrap You is a good resource and good community-based organization, and is unwrapyou.com.
All right. Unwrapped. Oh, I'm glad you spelled that. Okay. Y-O-U, because I just put the U. So there we go. Unwrapped Y-O-U. Awesome. All
So
right.
I'm gonna throw my 2 cents
put you on the
in.
spot, but I didn't know if you had one. I didn't want to overlook you.
It's okay. It's okay. Like the resource that I mentioned earlier, the navigator.afp.org is a good website. I agree with John Tell. Calling your insurance, seeing what they offer. You may be paying for some program that you don't even know that you get for free, and you have not because you ask not. So call them and say, hey, what do you have available that can help me out in some of the chronic problems that I have? One of my patients, I think she's on Medicare, she told me that they send her a card once a month for about $100 that she can only use to buy fresh fruits and vegetables. And that's how she gets a lot of her resources for healthy eating. I also agree with Dr. Carter about using YouTube. YouTube is your friend. Find you a good person who exercises on there and kind of develop a virtual relationship with them and staying consistent with exercise and getting your body up, active, and moving. I asked a lot of the patients that I see who look pretty well for their age. They're 80, but they look like they're 65. I'm like, what did you do? Like, I drank a lot of water, I cut back on the meat, and I never stopped exercising. So that's kind of the three main things that they have told me in the long run for them.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for those resources. And hopefully we'll be able to get that out to the team. And thank you. I see the team is adding some of these things in the chat as well. So if you weren't able to jot it down, attendees, just take a look at the chat. All right. I am now going to switch gears, and we're going to go to an open Q&A. And there's been some questions that the team has filtered my way. Okay. Do you recommend intermittent fasting? Anyone want to take that?
I can try.
Okay.
I do recommend intermittent fasting, and only because it really helps you to look at food differently. And I did some research when I started intermittent fasting in the past. And what I learned was that hunters and gatherers, they only ate between a certain time frame. And so that's why they were always able to be much slimmer than we are today, because food was not something that they had access to from the time they woke up until the time that they went to sleep. And so I think intermittent fasting really helps with just how we look at food, how we value food, how we respect it in terms of how we're consuming it every day. So I think that just having some type of restriction and boundary on food really helps with weight loss, as well as how we're just consuming it every day. Now, I know that there is some controversy as it relates to, is it healthy or not? But I do like the aspect of just how I'm looking at food and how I'm consuming it every day. Just more restrictions, more boundaries on food.
Can I add on to that?
Yes, please.
Okay. So I am not saying that I recommend it or not recommend it. I'm particularly on the fence for a couple of reasons, right? There are potential benefits. It helps, reduce caloric intake and improve fat metabolism, right? If you're supporting weight loss and maintenance. Also, from my perspective, right, insulin sensitivity, blood sugar levels, even cholesterol profiles. It reduces risk factors, improves cognitive function. And to Jantel's point, it creates boundaries, right? You learn accountability, you learn how to be diligent with respect to things. But there's also health considerations that you need to take, or health issues or health statuses that you need to take into consideration, right? Oftentimes people think that they can self-medicate. So some individuals with specific medical conditions, need to consult healthcare providers before starting, or if they start. And naturally, as common caveat, if you're pregnant or breastfeeding, avoid fasting. If it's a lifestyle fit, if you have irregular schedules, balancing also the need for nutrition. When you have your meals, ensure that they're nutrient dense meals and not overcompensating with unhealthy food because you fasted for so long, right? So there's aspects to it, and there's considerations that need to be taken in mind, and also sustainability. How often are you doing it, and how well does it integrate into your daily routine?
Yeah, thank you for that. Both great insights on it, and I know I've heard both sides. So thank you so much for sharing the benefits, but also the risk. And I think the biggest piece is working with your healthcare professional, your primary physician, to get insight, right? Because all of our bodies are different. Some we're dealing with disease, others are not. And I think having that medical approach to it versus just randomly trying to do it on your own is what's most important, so that it can be effective and not cause harm.
Can I put my 2 cents in right quick?
Oh, please do.
I think the jury's still out in regards to if intermittent fasting is beneficial overall. There was an article put out earlier this year that showed that people who did intermittent fasting were actually at an increased risk of heart disease.
Mm,
Now, why that occurred, they still don't know as of yet. So that's why I'm saying the jury is still out on that. So it has some benefit. Of course, certain people are losing weight on being on that diet, but is that diet right for everyone? Should a diabetic be on have intermittent fasting? Should someone who has heart disease, someone who is totally normal and doesn't have anything going on, is that beneficial? So I think overall more research needs to be done to show that that is beneficial because it's not necessarily cookie cutter and it's also hard to do that kind of study on someone overall.
yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Hines, for the additional perspective. I appreciate that. Okay, question number 2. I know there's several. Tangi asked from Facebook audience, as we get older, the day-to-day fitness journey changes. What suggestions do you have? Amen, sister. No, that was my ad lib to that. So, Stephanie Jantel, one of
Well, I'll say, I'm pushing 50 and I feel 20. So that's the day-to-day fitness journey. But no, realistically, what I say to people oftentimes, it's funny, as we get older, we say our knees hurt, our back hurts, just different things. And, I'm older, right? And it's good, bad, or indifferent. I say, movement matters. And I can't recall who said it earlier in the webinar, but movement matters, right? And I say it's not that you're getting old. You've lost your flexibility. You need to move. You need to stretch. You need to, maintain some form of activity to ensure that, a body in motion stays in motion. So as you stop, things happen. Your joints tighten, your muscles tighten, you're not as flexible. Things start to hurt because you lack that movement. I often liken it to, and what I tell people that work out with me, uh, what we've learned, historically is, stretching before working out. And I say, why would you stretch cold muscles? Make sure you warm up, right? Make sure that you have that already relaxed muscle so that you don't have increased muscle tears. You want to stretch post, workout, post cardio, post exercise. Now it's important to do some things, right? But not like deep stretching like we were taught to do, back in the day. So yes, your fitness journey does change as you get older. But what I will say is start minimal, right? Keep track of the progress that you have every day. What does movement look like for you? As long as you're moving, just do it. And then you'll find that as the days go on, your body will progress, your body will change. You can reshape your body to what you need it to be. You can redefine what healthy looks like for you. And again, that's your race to run. It's no one else's. Compare yourself today to how you were in the past, and each incremental improvement is a win for you. That's what your new fitness journey looks like.
Awesome. You can drop the mic after that one. Great insight. I know I just turned 50 in September, so I can attest to that question, that as we get older, new things start to happen that didn't happen before, and playing tennis doesn't seem as easy, and the knees and the back, So, I think having the consistency in moving is definitely important. All right, I'm just doing a time check for the team. Okay, question number 3, Jacqueline from Facebook audience asks, is there a daily recommended portion size for proteins, veggies, and carbs?
Yeah, so the way I try to counsel my patients is to not necessarily get into trying to measure or weigh their food. First off, I tell them that you really want to look at your plate and have it to have a variety of colors, right? So that, if your plate is like brown and white, you might not be doing the right thing. Okay.
Mhm.
Um, but then also, just thinking in terms of proportions, you want the majority of your plate to be composed of vegetables, legumes, those kind of things, and not have the main filling part of your meal to be the meat portion, right? And so, what I try to tell my patients is that, really about, well, I got kind of big hands, but you know what I mean, around around the size of your fist, as far as meat goes, as far as protein, because there are other protein sources that you can have, other than meat. And so that's usually what I recommend to my patients, because what happens is if you overcomplicate it, it can be hard to remain consistent and to execute.
Mhm.
And if we feel like we have a task at hand and we're not consistently meeting it, then that leads us to feel like we're failing. And then that leads to discouragement.
Right.
And then we're off of the wagon again.
Mhm.
So I think just doing some common sense things, first of all, just start with making one change, right? I mean, if you kind of eat out McDonald's or whatever your fast food du jour is several times per week, let's cut that out and let's give yourself one day. Maybe let Friday be your McDonald's day, and even then, don't get the double quarter cheese like you always do. Just try to cut it down, a little bit. And so I think start with trying to make just little simple changes that you can remain consistent with, like cutting down on fast food, like increasing your water intake, can go a long way. And then once you find those successes and you find that you are able to execute these things, then you build your confidence and you can keep making more positive changes.
Good. Thank you very much. Okay, I'm going to ask the next question. Thank you, Dr. Carter. Dr. Hines, there's a couple of questions that are coming in around how do I get primary care physician? There's a college student that just graduated and is moving to a new city. There's someone else from YouTube that's also asking how to find primary care physician. So, any insights there?
So one of the things I tell people is just ask your network, see who your friends or family members are seeing. So they usually will have good recommendations, or they will kind of tell you who someone else sees or who to on the opposite side to stay away from if that didn't work out for them specifically. Also, just use the internet. Google is your friend, and a lot of our websites in regards to physician have reviews of how we are as doctors. And so there's a resource there. You can just kind of look for reviews and reach out to your insurance company and see what they have as far as a list of providers that are in your network. That way you can kind of look them up and see who is in your network, and then kind of look at their reviews and see who you may like. Then also you can go to their offices, and I tell patients sometimes just ask the people at the front desk who they like, because the staff know us a lot better than certain people, and they can say, hey, I feel like this doctor will work out for you specifically more so than this doctor, depending on what you're looking for.
Okay, thank you for that. There's one last question. There's a bunch of questions, but it just in the interest of time, really quickly, because I see a couple of folks are asking about how to properly store veggies and fresh produce. I'm selfishly asking this question, but I see there's two or three others in the chat that have asked that question. So if anyone would love to share some insight. The question is there a website that teaches you how to properly store veggies and fresh produce? And if we don't know, that's okay. We'll have to find that one together. All right. Okay. Last question, community question number 4. All right. Which area do you think should be prioritized to improve healthy eating in minority communities? So we heard a lot of insight today, and the options are increasing access to healthy foods, providing nutrition education, supporting local food initiatives, and promoting mental health awareness. And again, this is about prioritize. So if you can add your comments into the section. I'm trying to see. I'm not sure if I see any. Got it. Okay. A, which is accurate, right? So if you've been listening, which I know most of you have, so increasing access to healthy foods. You heard that theme over and over and over today. So I would say if we walk away from this webinar with one thing, it's not only for yourself, but understanding how you can influence healthy food access to your communities and even your family, right? So changing one small thing in your household is what we'll hope to do. All right. Sorry. Okay. Culturally competent patient education helps ensure that health messages are delivered in a way that resonates with the values, beliefs, and communication styles of diverse communities. This can greatly improve understanding and adherence to treatment plans, especially when language and cultural barriers exist. So that is the reason why we're definitely prioritizing the increase of access to healthy foods is important. I know that today's conversation is just a snapshot of the wellness programming for Delta and Kappa of our J&J members. But I want to give the opportunity for Dr. Charlotte M. Freeman to share some upcoming events for DST. And then Dr. Hernando Carter is going to give some last thoughts for opportunities and events for Kappa representation. All right. Dr. Freeman.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us in this very important partnership that we have with J&J and with Kappa Alpha Psi. We have enjoyed a wonderful year of different activities and webinars, and we know that you have enjoyed them. And so in the world of Delta, we have our Live Well initiative. And of course, this is in addition to the J&J work that we do. Our primary programming in Live Well is about increasing the awareness of mental health and ensuring that we expand the market of those who understand mental health and how to help improve our communities along with our physical health. And so I want to just bring to you our Live Well series in our upcoming months. So, of course, you know, the holidays are coming. We've got joy, we've got love, we've got support, but we also may have moments of grief. And so we invite you on December the 11th to join us for our regular monthly Wellness Wednesday that occurs the second Wednesday of every month at 8 p.m. Eastern. And in the month of December, on December 11th, we're going to have cocoa and conversations. Right. We're going to have all conversations around the holidays and different things that will be occurring. And then we want to invite you in January. In January, we are coming back by popular demand. If you may remember, those of you who joined us in January of 2024, we had our C-suite conversation. It was so well received that we are coming back to dig even deeper to explore the success in the C-suite when it comes to your mental health. So we will have our international president, Sarah Elsie Cook Holmes, and we will also have returning our Sarah, the president of the National Council of Negro Women, Siobhan Arline Bradley. So we want to invite you to those two webinars. And then, of course, we do not want you to forget, for those of you who do not know about our Live Well Summit. So we have been working in this area for 4 years, and we are bringing it all together. And we want you to join us in the Bahamas. That's right. We're having our Live Well Summit May 28th through June the 1st in Nassau, Bahamas. If you want to join us and you want more information, please send an email asking about the Live Well Summit to ppd@deltasigmatheta.org. That's program planning development at deltasigmatheta.org. PPD. We want to see you in the Bahamas and join us for the webinars that are upcoming.
Awesome. That sounds amazing, Dr. Freeman, and thanks for that information. Dr. Carter, I also see, so for those that asked the question about storage of fresh fruit and vegetables, Dr. Carter was gracious enough to add a link to a website where you're able to gain clarity. So look in the comment section for that website. Thank you, Dr. Carter.
Yes. And thank you so much for just this wonderful discussion this evening. I definitely think it's very, very needed. And these kind of discussions need to be had, often and in more spaces. I certainly appreciate the partnership of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated over this year, and look forward to continuing partnership as we move forward. Kappa Alpha Psi's National Health and Wellness Initiative is entitled "Are You Okay?" And it addresses the entire person, focusing on Black male health, whether it be mental health. So for the mental health aspect, we have been partnering with NAMI, the National Alliance on Mental Illness, to provide resources to those in our community and brothers all around the country. We have continued to have all around the country in all 12 provinces of Kappa Alpha Psi the Are You Okay panel discussions that allow participants to discuss mental health challenges, concerns, etc., in a safe space, to normalize talking about mental health so we can destigmatize talking about mental health. But then also looking at the physical health. Coming up soon at the first of the year, we're going to start our fitness and nutrition challenge that will be providing, again, nutritional education, letting people know, how do you make healthier choices? How do you food prep? How do you just prepare healthier meals? And what are some simple yet sustainable changes that you can make to help with your nutrition? Also, we're going to have a physical fitness component that will resemble The Biggest Loser, so that brothers all around the country will be encouraged to exercise more and then log their hours of exercise per week. And from province to province, chapter to chapter, we're going to be monitoring that progress, hours logged of exercising, pounds lost. And when we get to our grand chapter meeting in Phoenix, Arizona in July, we will announce what province was the biggest loser, what province logged the most hours, and then the chapters as well. All of this and more has been made possible through our partnership with Johnson & Johnson Innovative Medicine. We are so excited to have this partnership with Johnson & Johnson that will help us impact our brothers and help us impact our community. And we look forward to having, again, a positive, demonstrable impact on the lives of our community.
Thank you so much, Dr. Carter. And I think for both of you, it's amazing to see the programs that you have in store. Those are wonderful programs to share. And on the part of J&J, I also encourage everyone to visit our Johnson & Johnson My Health Can't Wait website. It's all one word, myhealthcan'twait.com. This website is a community wellness initiative of in-person events as well as online resources addressing several medical conditions that disproportionately affect people of color, with resources such as prostate cancer resources for Black men, multiple myeloma cancer in men and women, um, uh, programs around depression and resources in mental health, and then also an extensive list of any type of medical condition you can possibly think of, Black and brown representation in clinical trials. It's a wealth of knowledge on this website, and I encourage you all to take a look and find out more about the great programming. Each of these programs and others on My Health Can't Wait site provide culturally appropriate education on risk factors, what and how to talk to your doctor, how to process diagnosis emotionally. The more resources we can provide the community, the better. And I'm so grateful to this panel today for joining us and helping us truly understand how healthier eating can lead to a healthier life. Thank you to J&J Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated, as well as our J&J employees of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, for your commitment to health, equity, and wellness. And I personally thank you for inviting me as a member of Zeta and the Divine Nine. I think it's a great cross partnership, and it's been amazing. To our attendees, we appreciate your support in attending this health and wellness webinar partner series, where we dove deeper into the issues at the forefront of patient care within the Black community. Thank you.